Hello and welcome to the Slovak Snapshots podcast, created by Aktuality.sk. My name is Zorislav Poliak and I'm bringing you the most captivating and important stories from across Slovakia. Each week we'll dive into the headlines that matter, from breaking news to heartwarming stories. So, whether you're local or a global listener interested in Slovakia, we got you covered. It is December 9th and you're listening to the Slovak Snapshots podcast. Today we offer you a very special episode of the Slovak Snapshots podcast, in which we will talk about the Slovak nature, which had the honor of being the focus of the world-famous wildlife filmmaker Nigel Marven. Before we do that, we bring you a brief overview of the news. The government approved the abolition of the Special Prosecutor's Office. The government approved the abolition of the Special Prosecutor's Office. According to Robert Fico, it cannot be fixed, and the departure of Special Prosecutor Daniel Lipschitz would not help either. Robert Fico's government approved changes for whistleblowers, abolished the office of the Special Prosecutor, and significantly changed the criminal codes. According to the Prime Minister, these were necessary changes. The Special Prosecutor's Office cannot be fixed, declared the Prime Minister. The opposition refuses this decision and calls it the murder of the rule of law in Slovakia. The former Prime Minister, Igor Matovič, started the protest in front of the parliament. The rest of the opposition got together and also started protesting against the government's decision. The government has agreed to increase its taxes and levies for the next year. Robert Fico's cabinet approved consolidation measures to improve the state of public finances. The coalition has agreed that the deficit will be reduced mainly by increasing revenues, that is, taxes, levies and fees. The government expects that the levies for health and old age insurance will increase from next year. Likewise, people will pay more for alcohol and tobacco. A pack of cigarettes will become more expensive by 40 cents, starting in the new year. The government has decided not to cancel the parental pension. The price for this is a reduction of the contribution to the second pillar from the current 5.5% to 4%. The second pillar exists to ensure that you have a decent income in retirement. To benefit from the scheme, you must pay in monthly contributions throughout your working life. Nigel Marven is a British wildlife filmmaker, screenwriter, presenter and adventurer, known around the world for his distinctive style, innovative programs and enthusiasm. He worked alongside Sir David Attenborough for 12 years. He made more than 150 documentaries, visited all continents and conveyed to the audience the stories of amazing wild animals. But why would a documentary filmmaker who can make a film about any country in the world choose Slovakia and spend almost 2 years filming the Slovak wilderness? What interested him the most in the Slovak nature? Why should Slovak society value the lives of bears and wolves? What is the soft tourism? How can we approach it and what could it bring to Slovakia? The Slovak Snapshots podcast got an exclusive interview with Nigel Marven, in which we will bring answers to these questions. Mr. Marven, when did you first come up with an idea to make a movie about Slovakia? Was it like out of the blue, or did you visit Slovakia and that influenced you?
It was definitely out of the blue. I was actually in Costa Rica at a conference with snakes, and I met a man called Milan Azelski, who's a Slovak reptile expert, and he suggested that I come here to investigate the wildlife and maybe make a documentary. And when I came, I fell in love with the country and its forests and its wetlands and its wildlife, and we decided we must make a documentary here. And then very quickly, maybe 6 months later, we started filming. So that's great. And then now I've been to Slovakia 7 times and I love coming all the time.
You described Slovakia as a hidden gem when it comes to nature. What made the biggest impression on you personally?
I think the fact that it's a small country, but because you've got the mountains and the forests, you've got lots of wildlife, and you know, for a country like this to have all of the big carnivores that you get in Europe, you've got wolves, you've got lynx, you've got brown bears. Brown bears are doing very well here. You know, there's over 1,500 in the high Tatras and the low Tatras, and they're a climate change winner because of climate change. Corn is growing higher up the mountains, so they've got more to feed on, so the mothers can have 2 cubs rather than 1. And I think, you know, in terms of ecotourism, once people know that you can see brown bears in Slovakia, if there's a good way of doing it, then that would bring lots of tourists here. Ecotourism would be very important, and definitely a live bear is worth more to the economy of the country than a dead one. So, you know, if there's a way of working out places where you can see bears, I think it would be a terrific asset to the country.
Have you met them all, like bears, wolves, and also lynx?
Lynx and wolves are in the film, but I have not met them. They're very difficult to see them. There's a cameraman called Jakob who is an expert on lynx, and he's going to telephone me in England if he finds a den with lynx and cubs. But the film of the wolves and the lynx was taken by trap cameras. So Slovak cameramen have set cameras up in forests and things, and they're turned on automatically by movement. So I did not see a wolf or a lynx in your country, but I had wonderful views of bears.
In our society in Slovakia, there is a huge debate about bears. Some people want to restore the wolf hunting and the bears hunting because they are supposedly overpopulated. Just to explain the context, according to scientists and environmentalists, they are not overpopulated. It's just the maybe lobby of the foresters and hunters. So what do you say to that?
Yeah, it would be a tragedy if wolf hunting and bear hunting was restored in Slovakia. Certainly wolves, there's a very low population, and they're not causing any problems at all. Bears, there's a healthy population, but they're not overpopulated. They're not causing problems with people. I keep reading sometimes or being told about, you know, people saying, oh, they were attacked by a bear in Slovakia. That's not true. They may see a bear 100 metres away. It's not going to attack them. It's just going about its business. I mean, bears really don't want to attack us. So, you know, I think it is absolutely more of the hunting lobby wanting to restore hunting of them rather than, you know, the fact that they're overpopulated. And wolves are incredibly rare all over Europe, and nobody ever sees a wolf. They keep themselves to themselves, and if they kill the sheep of a farmer, then the farmer should be compensated. But you know, that happens in Finland with wolverines, which is another carnivore. You know, if they kill a reindeer, then the herders are compensated. That should happen in Slovakia. You know, it would be terrible if wolves were hunted again.
Do you think it's right that protected areas and national parks in Slovakia are to be re-evaluated, which is what the new government wants to do? That could mean that those national parks are going to be less protected or maybe not protected at all.
I think your national park system is one of the jewels of Slovakia, and I mean, obviously I can't get involved in the politics of your country, but it would be a shame if the ranger system that protect the animals there and all of the things that are set in place to protect the forests, it would be terrible if they were, you know, loosened, if the rules were loosened. And I say in our country we only have 54% of our biodiversity left. It's one of the worst records of nature conservation in the whole of the developed world. Slovakia is not like that now, but you need to protect what's remaining, and we are now spending millions of pounds to try to restore nature. You still have nature here. You wouldn't want future generations to pay all the money we're paying to bring back bears, bring back the forests, bring back insects and everything else. So you know, you have something special here, and it would be lovely to keep protecting it.
What do you say about the fact that wilderness tourism does not yet work in our country, guiding tourists through the national parks to see animals in their natural environment?
Yeah, ecotourism is very important, but it takes a bit of setting up. So, maybe naturalist guides can be based at some of the hotels and take the people out into the high tetras to see marmots and chamois and identify the butterflies and the flowers. And it's an extremely big tourist draw in countries like Hungary, your neighbouring country. So, photographers will pay a lot of money to see birds nesting and photograph birds nesting. So, hopefully that sort of tourism will take off in Slovakia, and then the habitats will be protected because the people are making money from them.
Where in the world does this type of the sustainable tourism work well and at the same time earn money for the regions that no longer have to depend on logging?
Costa Rica is a classic example. Their government were very far-sighted. They looked into the future. They protected the forest. They realised if the forest wasn't protected, not only would they lose the animals that lived in the forest, but they'd also lose protection of the water supply. So the government protected the forest, and then American tourists started going to Costa Rica, and now ecotourism is the biggest business there. The habitats are protected. I think around 35% of the country is protected for wildlife, and that brings in extraordinary revenue to the country because of people visiting. So the same sort of thing could happen in Slovakia. Lots of money being made by Hungary from eco-tourists and photographers. They have special camps set up with hides on nesting birds, and you can go under the water so you can film birds at water level. People pay a lot of money to go into those photographic hides, and it would be easy to do that in Slovakia. I'm definitely going to bring back a group of people to go bird watching around Slovakia, because you've got some unique species here, woodpeckers and owls, and people would come from all over, America and Britain to see those birds. So it should be an important thrust of tourism in Slovakia. I think ecotourism is the biggest growing arm of tourism all around the world. Since the pandemic, people have realised that they don't necessarily want to go to cities anymore. They want to get out into nature, and Slovakia has wonderful nature to hike in and see animals in.
Well, that sounds promising, and let's hope your movie is going to help us. Thank you very much for the interview.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great to speak to you.
The premiere of the new documentary Wild Nature of Slovakia with Nigel Marven will see the light of day on January 1st, 2024. Even though Nigel Marven personally decided to cover Slovak nature, he also decided to cooperate with Slovak wildlife filmmakers. He highlighted the skill and work of the Slovak wildlife filmmaker and photographer Ďakujeme. We asked him about the cooperation between him and Nigel Marven, and also learned exclusive news about Ďakujeme upcoming project. I would like to ask you, you were making this movie with Nigel Marven. How is this experience to working with him?
I think it was challenging, but it was in general very nice and pleasant filming. We worked with a team from Bristol that Nigel brought with him, and it was interesting to compare how we, the Slovakian filmmakers, have to think and work and how they do. So, for example, the natural documentary film industry in Britain is very well developed, so you can be highly specialized. You are just camera operator, or you just fly with drones for nature documentaries. But in Slovakia, you have to be much more universal, and you have to do many roles by yourself. So from finding what the next film you are going to be working on is going to be, where you get funds, how to write the story. You have to do a lot of filming yourself because there is usually not enough funds to hire people, and also the industry is not so big, so there basically are no highly specialized people on Slovakian market you could hire even if you had the money.
At the press conference, Mr. Marven picked you out specifically and said that you're a very talented filmmaker, and he enjoyed this work with you. He also said something about your new plans. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I'm happy Nigel was happy with our work as a Slovakian team, so it was, I think, it enriched us both, or all of us working on it. And currently I plan to work on more films, specifically one about Lynx. So it will be adventure of Slovakian enthusiasts following Lynx tracks, and maybe we will be able to document some of their behavior. So that's the plan for near future.
And there you have it, another The Slovak Snapshots podcast in the books. We hope you enjoyed this weekly adventure through the newscape of Slovakia. Remember, knowledge is power, so go ahead and impress your friends at the next gathering with your newfound facts. But hey, don't take yourself too seriously. Life's too short not to enjoy a good laugh. We'll be back next week with more stories that will keep you informed and entertained. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep sharing those lovely smiles.